Yesterday really sucked, and really it's been like a year of suckitude. We found out, if you're on social media, that our buddy, longtime host on ESPN Las Vegas, Dave Cokin, is not doing well health-wise. We can send out the links to his tweet and his Facebook message. And, I did a show with Dave for like 4 years, but I was around Dave back in the mid-'90s when he was working at Sports Fan Radio Network. And I really want to take some time over the next week or so to talk about Dave Cokin, because he's got a whole area where he's a freaking national legend on the gambling front. But I know him very much as a sports talk radio host, and I love sports talk radio. And I don't think he's gotten the due over the years for how good he is. And Howard Balzer is a guy who actually started with Dave on Sports Fan Radio Network. I think he did some of Dave's first shows on that network. I was there from like 96 to 2001 before they closed up. And Howard's great on the NFL, 40-plus years covering the NFL. He's down in Arizona. He gives us a couple minutes here on this Wednesday. Howard, how are you?
I'm doing well, Steve. Thanks for having me on, and certainly not doing as well as would have if not had seen all that Dave put out there yesterday. But seeing the response is just phenomenal with all the people commenting. It's pretty remarkable, really.
Isn't that incredible? I had texted him and I was like, dude, I hope you have a good understanding of the legacy you've set. To see that many well-wishers, I was blown away. It was incredible.
Yeah, it really was. And you referenced Sports Fan Radio Network, and I was there basically at its birth when it went on the air. They had a show that was kind of separate, but then they created the network in January of 1994. And I'd been in St. Louis and had this, opportunity to come out to Vegas. It just came up kind of out of nowhere, really. And I've been in St. Louis all those years. And in the fall of '93, everyone thought St. Louis was going to get an expansion team, and they didn't. And so when that happened, it was kind of a real tough time. And then all of a sudden, this offer came along, and I said, why not? So came out to Vegas in January '94 and started doing this evening show. And we started having Dave on as a guest quite often on the show we were doing. And then at one point, when my original co-host, the guy named Jeff Nathanson he's from Los Angeles, he was my co-host. And then I forget exactly when it was that he left, and they put Dave in with me to be a co-host for quite a while. And then even then, when they had another guy, I would work with about 3 or 4 different people. And so had a lot of fun with them. And it's funny, when they brought in another co-host, I said to the operator, I said, why? Why do you need someone else? Dave and I love what we're doing. Yeah. I think it's a great show. And everyone liked it. So why don't you just keep it? But, they wanted to go with someone who, quote, was more of a broadcaster.
What?
But we still, of course, had Dave on, quite frequently. And we go out, a lot of people from the network go out at night. In fact, what I did yesterday, you might get a kick out of this. I have a picture, a framed photo of me and Dave with Cookie Jar.
Yeah!
Because we would, like, every Friday night, it was like the thing that we all did after a week. After the week of work, we'd go out Friday night and we'd go find Cookie Jar at the Flamingo. Well, the Continental. That was it.
Continental.
The Continental. And I got to know him. I mean, I got to know Cookie, and so I have this photo, and Cookie autographed it. And so I took a photo of it yesterday and texted it to Dave, and I said, I hope this brings a little bit of a smile to your face. And he told me that, even he calls him Jar. He said even Jar's having some health issues. Yeah. But hey, it's just the way it goes, obviously, sometimes. But great memories, great reflections, but still so sad to hear what he's been going through really for the last year.
Yeah, it's so weird to hear someone say, and listen, all program directors have different impressions. Many of them are just morons. But to hear, like, we need a regular broadcaster. Dave is the quintessential sports talk radio host because, one, you can put him in with anyone. He does not give a rat's you-know-what about going at someone. He's aggressive. He also knows just about every sport. And the other thing is I discovered in doing radio with him, like, if you start to mine a little bit, he's got a crazy life over the years. He is a Vegas guy, and he would open up about stuff like that. He was like, he's so well-rounded as a radio host. He'd blow you away sometimes with some of his stories and his experiences back in New England and here.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. It was just, great lessons, great stories, like you said, and it was just awesome, getting to know him, and the the uniqueness of him was just tremendous. And like you said, being well-rounded, and of course, obviously the knowledge of all sports. I have most of mine's in football. I still follow all the other sports, but certainly don't follow them as closely as I do the NFL and all that. But man, he did it all. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And it's funny when people would say, "Well, what does he do for a living?" Well, he's on radio, but he's basically a professional gambler. I mean, it's classic. It's a classic story.
Well, let me tell you, on the professional gambler thing, I don't know. I would say I would estimate less than 1%. It's probably too high. Less than 1% of sports bettors could actually do it for a living. And he did radio for fun. Dave has been a successful gambler. He sold picks, but I don't know that he needed to do that. He's an expert in that field. He's a big-time expert in terms of sports. And I'm going to mention this so many times as we talk about Dave Cokin. And he's still around, folks. But Dave, and maybe he dropped the line on you like 10 years before. He had told me, because he's always cynical, he had told me when we talked about, Vegas is kind of banished on the outside. We're the bad guys. And I'm not going to do a Cokin impression, but he said, you know what, as soon as the NFL finds a way to get a cut and be involved in the sports gambling, then it's all going to open up here. And he was right.
Yep, he was totally right. There's no question about it. And, they fought it, as everyone knows, and they fought it in court and said how bad this would be. We can't do this. I've often joked, Steve, that they would have a rule in the NFL office. If you ever even mentioned if you even said the words Las Vegas, you'd probably be fired. And so, but then when all of a sudden, they fought all the stuff going on in the States, and finally when New Jersey passed it, and all of a sudden now it's legal, and all of a sudden a lot of the other states, followed suit. Well, now we have the NFL saying, okay, how can we make money on this? And then you've got, right where I am now, living in Arizona, in Phoenix, right on the premises of State Farm Stadium is a sports book, right there. And who knows what it's going to be in 15, 20 years. It'll probably be like that just about everywhere.